Your choice.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, it's not gonna let me.
Use a snipping tool.
Tyler, that's not. That'll take me 10 minutes to do that.
We'll just bring up, is there any way that you can bring up their, like, just website, we can go through it?
And
Let me pull up Kyle's name too. He's a guy that I was going to give a shout out to. He was a new astrophotographer. No, that's a different guy. Philly.
Oh,
You're going to give up, you're going to do a shout out?
How sad is that?
That's not sad. It's
Even
cool.
cheesy, isn't it?
Cheesy. Cheesy wheezy.
cheesy.
Oh, right click available. Interesting.
they got it protected.
Huh, smart.
It is.
It is.
I guess that's our son.
I guess he did, yeah.
Protected, you can't grab them.
Well, smart. You figure out copyright.
We're copyrighted. Anywho.
Yeah, we can kind of go over the website. What y'all's goal is. Oh, 4 o'clock. Here we go. What do you get nervous for? This ain't nothing. This is nothing.
Mute everybody.
And we've got Tarek from the UAE, who's already logged in. Says howdy. Mike Wiesner, howdy and happy Friday, everybody. Texas Backyard Astronomy, Glen Rose, Texas. Hello from Fort Worth, Texas. Martin Eastburn, howdy from East Texas. Clear night tonight. Yeah, we got clear skies here in Arkansas too. Harold Locke, howdy Tarek and Mike. Let's see.
The howdy group.
Yeah, yes, that is the official greeting of the Explorer Alliances. Howdy. Pekka from Stockholm, Sweden. Other researchers believe, however, that it was named after the goddess phrase. They are talking about something here. Beatrice Hines from Belgium. Howdy, photon chasers from cloudy Belgium. Matthew McAlilly. Hey, y'all from Mississippi.
Oh, there's the one.
Hey, y'all, too, I guess, you know. Yeah. Egon Wright, TGIF. Hello, Scott.
Yes.
Great.
TGIF indeed.
Friday here, so. Tonight, we have Donnie and Donna Houston, so I think you're going to enjoy this.
God, I've been nonstop all day today.
I know that feeling.
It's crazy today.
Nearly everything they're saying.
I know. Oh, mercy.
Actually, almost can't believe it. Because of that road, like it's standing up.
These beautiful, colorful images that everyone loves from Hubble, the nebulae. I love them. They're colorful, they're beautiful, but they're signposts of star formation. The reason these gas clouds are so colorful is that there are massive stars, bigger than our sun, that have recently formed, recently in a cosmic sense. But perhaps within the last million years or so, these stars have coalesced, and their radiation is so powerful that it goes out and ionizes the surrounding gas, which creates these beautiful colors. So astronomers see these colorful nebulae, such that Hubble reveals in great detail, and we say, oh, that's beautiful, but we also say, aha, that's a sign that star formation is still active in this region. We can hone in with Hubble and other telescopes and see exactly what's going on in the continuation of star formation in these regions. We didn't really realize when Hubble was launched that we could see such details about the dynamics of continuing star formation. And that's something that now people love Hubble for, are these beautiful images of activity in our galaxy and in other galaxies as well.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance. And with us today is Donnie and Donna Houston, good friends of this community, wonderful outreach people, a married couple, both very into it. And they love astrophotography. They love spreading the word about astronomy, and it's going to be, I think, a very interesting and enjoyable focus on astrophotography, this is now our 18th episode. Tyler, why don't you do a more proper introduction?
All right. Well, first off, how's everybody doing? Everybody knows who I am. I'm Tyler. Next to me is Miss Donna and Donnie Houston.
Hello.
These are our brand new Explore Alliance ambassadors. Donnie and Donna came to our store. How long ago?
About a year ago now.
Has it been about a year?
Yeah.
God, time flies. And they wanted to jump straight into astrophotography. And I kind of a little hesitant because I always try to tell beginners that it is hard. It's a hard hobby. But they were bound and determined. And 7 months later, they're producing better images than me. So yeah, I need to pick up my game. But that's Donnie and Donna. I'm going to let them take away with it and kind of give about what they do and where they come from. Donnie, Donna?
Hello. I'll start off with this, I suppose. I got into visual astronomy back in the 70s, so I've been doing this a long time and have been happy with that up to that point, but would hang out with some guys over the years who have done astrophotography and have been really successful. And as technology has increased and became more affordable, we've had the opportunity to get into that ourselves. And as Tyler had mentioned, we started just about a year ago with a small camera and have quickly expanded, but it really helps when you've got a spouse or a significant other that you're doing this with, so it's not such a lonely hobby. And we have had an absolute blast, and we've had great support from the community and tremendous help from the guys here at Explore Scientific and several others, and it's been a fun journey. What do you think about it, Don?
Oh, it's been real ever since he's had telescopes ever since I've known him. And I've done visual with him, but this was the first year that I really wanted to get into the astrophotography part. And I have learned more than I thought I could ever learn with it. It's just been really amazing.
And just so that folks know, we've been together over 30 years now. So we've been together a long time, and we've had a lot of hobbies and a lot of experiences over the years. But this has been one that we will continue to stick with as a couple, and it's just been a blast. And we love sharing our experiences and the photographs and the information with the community and those that are interested. And we've had a fantastic time creating a YouTube channel, and also going forward with our website as well. So we've really jumped into this thing with both feet.
So Donnie and Donna, what are some, you've been going at it for, we'll just call it a year. What are some of the trials and tribulations that you've had starting out? Because everybody faces it. And what would you advise people to do to help them better along and so they understand?
I would say find something that you can stick with and work. There's a lot of ways to get to what we do. And we've chosen one particular route, and I'll throw their name out there, the ASI people who make the ASI or Pro that we've got here. The cameras are one of those approaches, and it's one that's been really successful for us. And one of the things I think that has helped us along so much is this ASI or Pro that you're seeing here with our scope is really good at talking to the PMC8 that comes from Explore Scientific, and those two things meld together very well, and that's caused a lot of success on our part and really accurate go-to and tracking both. We did have an experience where I was having trouble initially getting everything lined up, and it kept not plate solving, and we'll get into that to some degree, but Donna was the one who was able to point me in the right direction, and sometimes it's a simple fix. And she said, you guys have a focal reducer on here. Did you remember to change your focal length to accommodate that? And so, no, I didn't. But once we did that, it plate solved immediately and everything worked beautifully. So thank you for that, Donna.
Yeah. Well, for me, it just, when you're starting out and you get out there the first night and you want to image and something goes wrong. The second night, something goes wrong again. The third night. And you just have to remain patient, be calm, and I start Googling. I mean, Google was my friend. I Googled, hey, how do you do this? Or you know, what's the problems? What's the solutions for things? And finally, when you get everything talking and everything works great, then you can start imaging, and then it's a whole new world, whole new experience.
Yeah, I remember some nights where I have to go to where Donnie's called me and said, hey, Tyler, I'm having issues. I can't get anything to work. Donnie and Donna live about 15, 20 minutes away.
Also, yeah.
From where I'm located. And it's not that hard for me to just go drive. Of course, I got to ask my wife's permission, because, you know, sometimes it's nice to get their permission first before I just go out and do stuff. But then, what was the longest night I've been over? Trying to help you guys.
Probably an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe.
Yeah, and it's perseverance helps a lot. It really does, and patience. A lot of patience. That's the one thing I've learned doing this hobby is
patience.
If you don't
No
have,
doubt.
I've fished a little bit when I was a kid, and it teaches you patience, and this is almost like fishing to a degree. You have to be extremely patient to get that shot that you're wanting. Because if you're not, you're going to rush something, your focus is going to be off, you're going to rip a cord out from somewhere, and you're just going to have a heck of a time. But what kind of gear do you guys use mainly when imaging? Like, I know you guys just built a pier because you guys basically forced me to do it then.
Peer pressure.
It was peer pressure. So yeah, kind of go over what you guys use, and we can go a little bit more into detail on why you chose that equipment with your setup.
All right. Like I said before, we jumped in with both feet, and I think this is probably one of Donna's favorites here, and I'll get into some of the others. But if you want to give a little bit of info on this one, I'll expand on some of the others as well.
Don't worry, Donna. I'll help you if you get
That's
lost.
right.
Now, this one is my go-to one. I like this little telescope. The setup is real sweet. We have everything hooked up. Just, you know, like I said, challenge to get it going that way where everything's talking to each other. But once it does, it's amazing. But we have this one right here, the 102. We have the guide scope. We've got the autofocuser, the ASI Air on there, the camera.
What camera is this?
That's
the main camera.
That's the
33.
2600.
Is it the mono or the MC Pro?
That is the MC1 Pro one-shot color.
So it's the one-shot color. Cool. Well, I've always been curious about the 290 Mini. How does it compare, say, versus the 174?
Obviously, the 174 has a substantially larger sensor, but for what we're doing here, there absolutely is no difference in quality at all, except the price tag. So it's basically $500 versus $300. So you can really get into this thing for this particular scope for a lot less money by dropping down to the 174, and it does a beautiful job. I will say this, one thing I did notice is we had a lesser expensive, lesser quality guide scope initially, and I won't throw their name out there, but we did switch over to the Skywatcher Evo Guide 50, and it is a apochromatic, and it does a fantastic job of finding and locking onto those stars.
Now, is this telescope, I know it's the 102, is it the FCD 100?
It is the FCD 100.
It is the FCD 100. And I noticed on the main body camera, you got a filter drawer. What filters are you using with your one-shot color?
But we started initially with just a dual band filter, and it did a decent job. It really did. And we decided to upgrade to the L Pro Extreme. And I'll say this, it does a fantastic job. We've got a street light out there where we're at that is right in our imaging train oftentimes, and it filters it out well. In fact, if you'll pull this filter and hold it toward the light, it's almost like looking through a welding lens. Unfortunately, we can't plate solve while that's in place. So we literally have to plate solve and then put that filter back into place and go from there. It just blocks out so much that it just can't do it. Whereas the original dual band filter would do just fine plate solving.
Yeah, because I've heard good things and bad things about the Optilong L Extreme. I've used it. It's great for bringing out all the hydrogen alpha that you're wanting to look for in galaxies or North American nebula, anything with hydrogen alpha. And that was the one turnoff for me. It was a lot of red.
It is. And it's a pain to pull that filter and have to put it back in right in the middle of what you're doing. But, and it is a lot of red. We, this weekend was the first time we used it, and we imaged the Fishhead Nebula, and it did a beautiful job of making those reds pop. But again, it's that extra step. People complain about shooting monochromatic and having to switch filters and do different things. Well, with this, you're going to pull that filter. You're not going to plate solve.
Yeah.
So I know, how do you power the thing? I mean, how do you power this whole setup here? I know you're probably using a battery or of some sort, but
Yeah,
how do you power
we
this?
do. We've got the Jackery that we get our power supply out at the pier with, but we use this micro Pegasus here. And the reason that we go with that is it has the dew heater controller built in it, and it's just a great power supply all the way around to power all these things. Obviously, we could power it directly from the ASI Air or Plus or Pro, but we choose to use this, and it just does a fantastic job. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we have 3 of these things in our inventory, and we use them on several different scopes.
Now I know you got more scopes.
We do.
I'm not saying I don't know who the reason is behind that you have more scopes.
He's like a used car salesman, except for telescopes. But I'll be honest, the Explore Scientific scopes have been wonderful for us, and everything in our inventory, with the exception of 2 scopes, is Explore Scientific.
And what about a mount? I mean, you have to haul all this gear on something. Tell us a little bit what mount you use, how much success, or again, trials and tribulations I always come back to.
Sure.
Because everybody struggles at the beginning.
Yeah, we started off with the AVX.
AVX, yeah.
And it was a challenge. It doesn't like to talk to other equipment sometimes. So we did upgrade, thanks to these guys here who had the G11 in stock, the Los Mandy G11. It really was a game changer for us. That thing is so incredibly accurate. And we've got their modifications on it with the stepper motors. So between that and the PMC-8, like I said, which talks to the ASI equipment beautifully, we've had nothing but success since. So it's been a wonderful experience.
Now, what Bortle scale are you guys at?
Unfortunately, we're sitting around a 7 right now.
A
So
7? Oof. And y'all are in a small town.
we are.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, I
It's,
mean, you're next to Fayetteville, which is a pretty big
Well,
I mean,
location,
Anniston,
and we've
Yeah.
got street lights all through the neighborhood, similar
Yeah.
to what you've got. And those
Yeah.
things are out and up instead of down.
Yeah, and that's. Have you reached out to the local? Would it be the local electric company? I mean, how would you tell somebody to combat some of the light pollution in the neighborhood?
Thank you for asking. We did just that, and we contacted our local electric supply, and they quickly pushed us off to the neighborhood, which they said paid for that particular light. And they said we would have to go through the municipality to get those things either shielded or changed. So we're working on that now in hopes that we can at least get that one light that's right there beside us, either shaded or removed or moved or something. And we're still trying to get people turned on to the light pollution issues, which is one of our things that we really home in on for the flora and the fauna. And, this thing affects fireflies and migrating waterfowl and sea turtles and everything, no matter where you're at. Light pollution is a detriment. And those of us that do astronomy know that from what we do, but we also need to be good stewards of our environment and keep that in mind for the wildlife as well.
Well, Scott, I'm going to take a quick, not really a quick break. I just want to just see how the audience is doing, see if they have any questions.
There is some comments and questions. Pekka in Stockholm says that it's half of the fun when nothing works and you realize after an hour struggling with your gear that you forgot something really small. So, Tarek wants to know, how did you mount the Pegasus power box on that telescope?
Very good question. We actually have this Pegasus on here. You can't see it. If you'll roll that thing over a little bit for me.
I don't really hit the focuser.
We have a strip of high quality Velcro, and we have it mated directly to it. And when it's on there, it's really on there. It takes some effort to get that thing off of there. So it's setting on a Los Mandy style plate that's up on top of this handle, and it works real well for a support for not only the guide scope, but also that Pegasus Micro as well.
That's heavy.
Thank you for that.
That's a heavy little sucker.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weight.
Was there any other questions?
Texas Backyard Astronomy out of Glen Rose says, he says, I love the Explore Scientific telescopes. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
Didn't he win in the astrophotography contest not too long?
I think
Yesterday?
he might have. Yeah,
I think he did.
Excellent.
So let's see. People wanted to know, Jim's Astro wanted to know about the cable management rings on the camera.
Right here. This is what I think Jim's talking about, and you know a little
Absolutely.
bit more. You just did a YouTube video.
We just did a YouTube video, and you guys are welcome to check that out. I'll give you some more information here as well. But he sent us not only these, but he sent us some other items for review for cable management as well. And you'll find all those things on ArcStar Astronomy at our YouTube channel. And we go in depth with that particular review on this video. But long story short, these things were sent to us by a gentleman up in British Columbia who does have them on market on Etsy. And you'll find that link as well on our channel. And he's manufactured these things, and their fit and finish is pretty incredible. They fit on this 2600 and our 533 beautifully. He makes models for several cameras. He also makes one that will set on the ASI or Pro and Plus, and it locks onto there well. And he makes some that are individual, and you'll see these on that video as well, that you can strap to your pier. You can put them on the telescope. You can put them on a guide scope or wherever you feel like you need them to really put cable management at bay, because cable management is one of the major nemesis of our hobby. And like Tyler had mentioned earlier, if you trip over these things or you hang into them, you can do some serious damage and add up to a lot of money quickly.
Yeah. Nana, what do you find more thrilling when you get out there with Donnie? Do you boss him around a lot? do you tell him what you want to image, or does he tell you to do?
No, we decide together, but once we plate solve and we're to the point where we can pick something and we go through what's best in tonight's sky, we usually home in on something and we just decide together on what looks good and what we think is, the best pictures to capture that evening.
Good. Good. So Donnie, I know you've told me you've done some outreach.
We have.
What kind of outreach have you guys done? How do you feel like you've impacted the outreach community? Because that's what we at Explore Scientific try to do, is we try to, when we hire or get ambassadors, we want to make sure that they're providing a community service, more or less, in outreach. Scott will probably give us a little bit more information on that, because he looks for certain things in people that promote the astronomy, because we're a small knit community, but we also try to make sure that we educate others, that I mean, if you set a daub up in the street, I guarantee you're going to get more than one person to look through it because people are interested. They just don't take the time because they're always looking at their cell phone to look up. And Donnie's always done outreach. And that's one thing I want to strive to do, but I haven't got there yet. So I may have to take some pointers from Donnie. But Donnie, give us a little bit of what you do as far as doing outreach. Like, where do you go? Who
Sure.
and stuff.
We started out years ago, and Donna was with me at the time as well. We lived in South Florida, down in the Fort Myers area, and there was the Calusa Nature Center and Planetarium down there. And that was back in the old orange Celestron days when we could take our scope down there. And they really did a fantastic outreach program. And we were fortunate enough to be able to supply some of that education and opportunity for people to view through telescopes. And our turnouts were fantastic. And we'd have a lot of turnout for our planetarium as well when we were doing either laser light shows or some of the standard planetary shows as well. And we sort of migrated from that to a lot of the community outreach. And after moving up here, we had the opportunity to get out and get with the Scouts, Boy Scouts of America, and some of the outreach programs at the local parks and some of the facilities and municipalities around. And then we discovered that if we have a light on while we're setting up, that the neighborhood sort of migrates to the yard. So it becomes sort of gear at the pier and can devolve into beer at the pier sometimes. So we can have a fantastic time, but it's a wonderful way to get the community out there, friends, neighbors, families, all together, and they bring their children, and we have an opportunity to have them. We usually will set up with visual and astrophotography too, so they can climb up on a stool and have a chance to get out there and see it firsthand as well.
And it's always been amazing to either an adult or a child, either just looking at the moon and just they're flabbergasted.
Oh, they are.
They're like, wow. It's like their first initial reaction is always wow, or that's amazing. And it usually takes my breath away and just makes me think of that particular moment. So, I mean, I applaud you guys for doing outreach.
Thank you.
I hope you guys continue to do more outreach, and I need to tag along.
We'd love to have you.
Do outreach with y'all. Scott, is there any more questions before we start looking at some pictures that these wonderful couple have done?
Just Tarek is commenting. He says, I Velcro my Pegasus to the mount, and after a few days it slipped, so I won't try to make the same mistake. But I did use Velcro again anyway. Okay, well, Velcro can be your friend, but there's different kinds of Velcro. There's like there's a type that it does not have the fuzzy side, but it's like two like inner looping links, and that stuff.
Yeah.
Man, you could mount a car engine to the wall if you wanted to. I mean, it's really amazing stuff.
Yep.
Let's see, and Martin Eastburn comments, remember, some Velcro gives a spark, static, when ripped like some tape does. Test in the dark room, protect your stuff. Okay.
That makes sense.
Right?
That makes sense.
All right. Yeah, okay. So I think that's kind of some of the comments. I think they want to see your photos.
All right. Well, we're going to show the photos, and Donnie and Donna will show what they are. We're going to show their website mainly because that's where a majority of their photos are. We had a little internet hiccup here by uploading videos, so they can tell you what they've shot and what they shot it with, and go from there. Guys,
Sure, go ahead. North American Nebula.
North American Nebula is the first one.
you remember what you shot it with?
No, I don't.
That looks like, if I had to guess, as far as field of view, that's probably a 102. Is that with the 533?
That's actually the 152, and it's with the 2600.
Oh, well, there you
Now,
go.
this has been cropped down, so I can see why
Okay.
you would think that,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Well, let's see what the next one is. Oh, that's a good shot.
That's one of our, and I do want to say this, those shots that you are seeing are snapshots. They're not highly processed. These things are literally snapped with an iPad and are processed on the iPad. There's no stacks here. There's no anything. The reason we did that for this evening is I wanted you to see the opportunity. If we've got some new astrophotographers out there or people who are interested, they can see what can be accomplished without having to learn some complex software like PixInsight or some of these things. you can still get some decent images. And this is a classic example here. This is just basically a raw image with nothing but a snapshot of a JPEG, and this is what we came up with.
You did the editing with an iPad?
Yeah.
On that?
Yes,
On the Bubble Nebula?
on the Bubble Nebula.
And you got some sheen on the bubble
Yes.
Yeah.
on an
It's
iPad.
amazing with what you can do with a good
Why
iPad.
did I spend so
editor.
much money on PixInsight when I can just do that?
So that's my trouble.
If you want to blow it up big, that's where you get in
Well,
trouble. If you
yeah,
want poster
yeah,
size stuff.
PixInsight is hard to learn. That's
Yeah.
one of my struggles right now that I'm trying to go through is trying
So-
to learn PixInsight.
So Donnie takes the pictures and you do all the hard work.
That's what
She does.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Let's see what that next one is. That looks
And
like.
you know what this is.
That's
In fact, you were there the night we first homed in on this one,
Yeah,
I
Tyler.
you
was
were.
there. I was there.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first target you guys went after.
It certainly was.
When you got all your equipment and everything set up, because that wasn't shot with a 152. There's no way.
No, this was
No,
the 102, and it was the 533 by ASI.
And it was hot that day, folks.
Yes.
It was hot. And Donnie was having issues, and I came over and we just got it up and running. He wanted the slew to the lagoon and the Triffid, and we worked on some framing, and he took what was this? That's a 60-second shot.
That is a 3-minute shot.
3-minute
there.
shot.
It
and
is.
His jaw dropped on the floor. I thought I heard a thump from him falling on the ground because he finally was able to get an image. And that
was after
that brought a
many, many
smile to my
tries.
face. It really did, knowing that I can help these guys and anybody to the best that I can to get these types of images.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, when you're new at this and you've been trying to slew to something and there's nothing there but stars and you can't find anything, and then finally you spin that camera around, it goes to what you hope is the Triffid and the Lagoon Nebula, and this comes up in your viewfinder. Nothing can quite prepare you for that. That's almost some sort of religious experience. That's
That's when
phenomenal.
you get
right there.
excited and go, it can be done. It
Yes.
does work. Just be patient.
Yep.
Persevere through it.
Now I know that one. Everybody I think knows that one. That's the old elephant trunk nebula.
It certainly is.
Now
And
that
again,
was-
you know, you can do a lot better job with this, but
Yeah,
these
but still.
are just one shot. So-
Yeah, that's one shot.
one
You're
shot.
I mean, you can get all that dark nebulae just by an iPad processor, processing with an iPad. So I mean, that's not bad, and that looks like it was shot with a 152.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that one
that's close. So let's see what the next one could be. Oh, everybody knows that one.
Yep.
That's what is that? That's
Go
a
ahead.
dumbbell.
That's the dumbbell. Dumbbell.
Now what did you guys use to capture that one? Do you remember?
That one,
That was the 102, wasn't it?
that was the
I think it
102.
was.
We've got one with the 152, and the two differences you'll see primarily is you see that kind of green cast that goes away and the blues come out.
Yeah.
So increasing that light gathering power changes the image significantly.
Cool. Let's see what the next. Yeah. Well, Whirlpool Galaxy.
Yes, indeed.
You can definitely tell that's not processed.
Yes.
Yes.
Can
That one-
tell.
that one
Exactly.
You can tell, but you can still see the arms of the galaxy, and that's what drives people to take more images, so they can eventually stack, process, and bring out that blue that's in there. Because you can kind of make out the blue in the galaxy, or at
You
least
can.
the main galaxy.
The beauty of this too, guys, is what a lot of people don't realize is to get these kinds of cameras, it's fairly expensive. It's not uncommon to spend a couple of $1,000s on one of these things. Now, the images you're seeing here, you can easily drop down to a lesser camera or one that's not even cooled and spend $300, $400, $500 and achieve these same kinds of images for your first time out. So not only that, you can do this and use that same camera for planetary as well, which is something we're going to move into in the near future.
Did you guys start out with a DSLR, or did you just jump straight on into dedicated?
We started with a DSLR. What was it, your Nikon?
Nikon, I think is what I had. And then I switched to Canon.
I don't know who pushed them down to that path. I have
Well, I
no
can
idea.
imagine.
I don't know who does
But
that.
it didn't take long. We switched over to a dedicated astronomy camera, and our next step within the next year or so, we're going to go monochrome and try and gather all those pixels. And if you're new out there, basically you're gathering a small portion of the pixels that are available if you're using a one-shot color. Whereas if you're using a monochromatic camera and filters, you're really taking advantage of those
Getting all of it.
pixels.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that looks like the heart. It's hard to tell.
It is hard to tell, and you are correct.
Yes, that
And
was the
again, the
heart.
heart comes out beautifully if you stack and process. And again, these are one shot. So if you look close, you can see it, but that's kind of what you get. And looking through an eyepiece on a really dark area, you could probably achieve the same thing there.
Really?
But, you know, out where we're at and gathering a 3-minute image, that's kind of what you end up with.
Well, that's amazing. The crescent, the brain of everything.
Yes.
I love that one. All the O3 that comes out when you actually get one, you stack it, and it's hard to explain. It really is, but I love that shot because that's with the one that may be 152.
It's the 152 with the lesser expensive smaller camera, the 533.
533. So you were able to get real close on some of that detail.
Right.
And look at those pinpoint stars. Now, did you manually focus or are you using the EAF all the time?
We're using the EAF, and it goes through an automatic focus routine that is genuinely pinpoint. It does a really good job. And as temperature changes, it's got the sensor on there,
It's got the sensor on there.
and it will refocus if it detects any temperature change, which could affect the contracture of the lens and the imaging terrain. So it does a real good job of staying in focus.
Let's see. That's the veil. The witch's broom, other than that.
Yes.
Now, explain to me, why is there a lot of green in there?
You know the answer to that.
Why is there green in there, Donna? Why is there a lot of green?
There's,
You know, there's two reasons. One, it's not a stacked image, and two, it's not as high quality filter as it could be. And three, you know, if you process and you stack these images, that green is going to go away, and you're going to see those blues replacing it because, as we know in space, there really is no green.
I know.
But it looks good.
It looks great.
Swan
And Swan. That's one target I have yet to try.
That's one of her favorites.
that's
I've
one
yet
of my
to try.
favorites because you really can see the swan in it
If you do, if you look,
really look closely and long enough, you can start seeing the swan come out in the nebula.
well, great. Let's see if there's any more. It doesn't look like there's going to be any more. Now, I see this is y'all's particular website.
It is.
And what's the website called in case our viewers want to go in and just check it out and see
Sure.
how it is?
It is arcstarastronomy.com.
No, it's ARKSTAR.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, see, there you go, folks. It's local community sticking together to bring everybody the stars. I can't wait to see what else they can do in the next year, especially when they start doing planetary, because I've already had to help them start it. Oh boy, that makes me worry about when I try to do planetary. But I hope that you guys take something from this episode, that even beginning, you don't have to have the best equipment. You don't have to know everything. There's a lot of information online. I don't read information. I just go out and do it. I learn by trial and fire, mainly. Some people say that's good. Some people say it's bad. And this part of it, you have to be delicate and understand how some of this stuff works. So there is reading actually involved. And if you guys could say one last thing to the audience before we get off here, just what would you tell them that are just frustrated and just ready to throw everything away?
I'm going to let you do that because we had some frustrating times.
Well, like I said, I think earlier on, we did 3 or 4 times before we ever. And my brother, who is a phenomenal photographer, he would call, how'd it go? How'd it go? How'd it go? Oh, well, it failed. It was a bust. And just, and it would be disappointing. You sit out there for hours and hours trying to figure it out, and nothing would come to. But you just have to keep plugging away and thinking and figuring out and going through all the steps again. What's hooked up to what? Is it correct?
Mm-hmm.
Googling, doing what you can, studying, reviewing, seeing what others are having problems with. When you finally get it, then it opens up a whole new world.
So what I would recommend for beginners for sure, and I'm sure you guys would agree with this, start a checklist from A to Z.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Follow the checklist so you know that you didn't miss a step, you didn't forget to plug in a wire, because that can be extremely frustrating when you don't have power to a camera. It's like, my stuff won't turn on. Like me last night, I was being a dum-dum. I forgot to turn power onto my mount, and I'm like, why is my mount not connecting? 30 minutes later, I forgot to turn the power on.
You know, something that's really important too, we all forget once in a while and we feel like fools. Don't forget to do this.
Oh yeah, take a lens
I mean,
cap
Take a
off.
lens
just take a lens cap off
Lens
because
cap, yeah.
it'll bite you. Yeah, it'll get you. It's going to happen.
Lens cap is a definite must. It sure is. Now, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I always appreciate when we can get local talent in, especially because it gets us out. We get to talk trials and what they want to do. But next week's episode is going to be about pixel scales and understanding dedicated astronomy cameras. That's going to be a doozy. Our very own, or I know him as Simon Lewis. He's in New Zealand. So we're going to have him on next week, again, about pixel scales. And guys, again, I appreciate you guys coming down.
Of course.
Thank
Can I
you.
give a quick shout out to
Yeah,
a gentleman?
go for it.
We met someone online when we were doing our reviews, and this guy comes from Philadelphia, and he's new as well. And he recently acquired a used Explore Scientific 152, and we sent it here, and they did a complete revamp on it. The guy's name is Kyle Legacy Charlton Bannister.
I know
Long
him.
name. Yep.
Yeah.
No,
But
no.
he is taking some incredible images. And if you guys want to check him out on Facebook, you will see what this Explore Scientific 152 can do, and you'll be
He's-
very impressed.
He's only been doing it for 3 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he bought his first dedicated camera and gear about a year ago, and
Yeah.
he's only been at this thing for about 3 months now in earnest, and his images are beautiful. So
And
please check him out.
We actually, I talked to him on the phone the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
He's wanting to get into something bigger. I'm like, bigger?
Yeah.
You're wanting something bigger. Mercy. But Scott, unless you have anything that you'd like to say to the audience.
Pekka was wanting to know, it was just like a last question here. Are you
Yeah.
using APT or Nina when you capture?
ASI Air.
Yes, I am.
They capture with the ASI Air.
Yeah, the ASI Air Petka is it's a Raspberry Pi that literally does everything from guiding, plate solving, to image capturing, do control heaters. With this particular one, you can it comes with a USB stick that you can transfer all the images that it captures into the stick. You throw it into a computer, and you can process away to whichever you want to do. And that's what these guys use is the ZWO ASI Air Pro. I believe you guys also have.
We have two of the
We have
Plus
the
camera systems as well. Yeah.
Same thing. Again, it's a little Raspberry Pi that literally does everything. The unfortunate part is it is proprietary software, and as you can tell, it only uses ZWO equipment. You can't use QHY or ATIC or SBIG. You can't use any other equipment with this particular piece of software, but pros and cons with everything that you do in life, and this is one of the cons. But yeah, that's really it. So guys, again, I really do appreciate you guys coming down. I really do. I know the guys out there do, and I hope to see you guys back.
Oh, we'd love to come
Okay,
back, and
so-
it's our pleasure to do this. This is just one more step into educating the community. So thank you all so much for taking the time to pay attention and watch us and see us and what we've learned along the way. So thank you for that.
That's great.
Oh.
Well, I would like to add that, I think Donnie and Donna represent some of the best qualities of what we look for in Explorer Alliance ambassadors. Doing a ton of outreach, and they've got a great attitude, and so it's wonderful. And I look forward to seeing them in action sometime when I'm out doing outreach as well. So you guys take care. We want to say thank you to our audience that tuned in today. Had a very interesting group watching, and actually from all over the world. And so hopefully you'll have some followers, Donnie and Donna. Thank you. And I think that's it for right now. You guys have a great weekend. And we will be back, of course, on Monday with more How Do You Know with Dr. Daniel Barth. And we will also have a Tuesday event, the Global Star Party number 72. Guess what? It's Carl Sagan's birthday.
Oh boy.
November 9th. So the whole premise, the theme of the Global Star Party is inspiration of Sagan. So, because we were all like inspired by this guy, right? And still continue to be. Thank you so much again. And we will see you later. Folks out there, keep looking up. And don't forget that we have a lunar eclipse coming up November 19th. This is a visualization from NASA.
Why do we chase this thing? Jumping from one continent to the next, just to bathe for a moment in the absence of light? Who are we? What are we searching for?
T.S. Eliot wrote, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time."
One of the qualities of seeing an eclipse is it makes you understand that every given thing is in a particular patterned relation with every other thing.
It gives me a sense of scale, gives me a sense of where I fit into the universe.
It is art, it's poetry, it's this kind of experience of going and seeing totality in which what feels merely metaphorical is suddenly experiential encounter.
Immediately afterwards, you have that overwhelming desire to see another one. That's the moment an eclipse chaser is born.
These are folks who are running all over the world for this event that lasts all of 2 or 3 minutes. Who are these people?
It's unique each time, and therefore that freshness, even if we've seen it over and over again, oh my gosh, it has the potential to re-inspire us.
A total eclipse of the sun doesn't just unfold in the heavens. It transforms the minds and hearts of those who experience it firsthand. The same is true of journeys to the most remote regions of our planet. Whether we're standing on a mountain peak or in a stark polar landscape, we can't help but reflect on our place within the larger scheme of things.